Alright guys, today we're just going to be taxiing over from spot 6 over to spot 17. We got our engine start stuff done, ran through the checklist. We're going to do our brake test here, so I'm going to look left, straight, and right, make sure it's clear. It is. We'll do a brake test and our brakes are good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the right here. Keeping our eyes open, making sure the area is clear. Definitely want to go very, very slow here on the ramp. Okay. Nice and evening time, so not too many people out. On a Friday evening, everybody's out partying. But during normal operations, we have a lot of students out on the ramp, so you want to be careful of that.
7 Charlie Alpha.
Make sure you taxi very, very slow. We're looking out for people, debris, all that stuff while we're taxiing. We're coming up to spot 7 here, which we're going to be using for our call to let ground know where we are. Remember, same thing with any communication with ATC. We want to let ATC know who we are, where we are, what we want, and the weather. Okay? Let me just double check that information.
Airman, numerous cranes and unlit towers in the vicinity of the airport. Taxiway Delta west of Foxtrot is closed. Crew and equipment work at J-Star runways and taxiways. Alert advised ineffective. Advised next contact the Aviatus Golf.
Alright, Aviatus Golf. I listened to it earlier. Yeah, I just forgot the ATIS code. But before we call ground, one important thing to do is to make sure we have our airport diagram out. Okay, because he's going to give us, he or she, they're going to give us instructions, and we want to be able to draw out our instructions and make sure it's correct. Okay, if it's not correct, we'll be able to see here, hey, he's giving me a right turn, and where I'm going is to the left. We'll be able to correct him. Ground, Cessna 955 Niner Bravo. We're at spot 7 with Golf, requesting taxi to spot 16.
Aircraft out of spot 7, say full call sign again.
November 955 Niner Bravo.
955 Niner Bravo, behind aircraft off your left, taxi to spot 16 via Alpha Golf Charlie Echo.
Alright, behind the aircraft off our left, we're going to spot 16, Alpha Golf Charlie and Echo for Cessna 955 Niner Bravo. Alright guys, so basically he told us that we're going to wait for this guy here off our left side, and then we're going to taxi via Alpha Golf,
November 4,
Charlie and Echo.
Bravo, time I'm ground, taxi via Echo.
Alright, I wrote down my instructions. It's Alpha, Golf, Charlie, and Echo. That makes sense to me. There's our guy he just passed from our left, so we'll start our taxi here. As we're taxiing out, we want to make sure left, straight, and right is clear. As I taxi, I'm using the line, the taxiway line, and I'm trying to put it right in between my legs. That'll keep me right on center line. Do another check here. Right's clear, left's clear, and we'll start our turn to the left. Different than in a car, when you taxi an airplane, you use your feet, you use the rudder pedals as you're taxiing. You shouldn't look right here in front of you, you're far into the taxiway. So I've made that left turn now. I'm on taxiway Alpha. I know I'm on taxiway Alpha, one, because I have my airport diagram here with me, but also from the taxiway signs. If you see a black background with yellow letters, that is your location. That's where you are. So we are on taxiway Alpha. If you see a yellow background with black letters, that is a direction sign. That is a direction to the next taxiway. As you're taxiing, you'll see the taxiway signs before the taxiway. So here, we got Golf.
Number 734, uniform November.
Golf is my first left, so right here, this is my left turn. Make sure left side is clear. It is. And we'll start a nice, easy turn to the left. As I turn to the left, there's the taxiway sign for Golf. Now that I'm on Golf, this sign is a black background with yellow letters. I'm on taxiway Golf. As we come up to Charlie, we'll see the taxiway sign ahead of the taxiway. The taxiway signs are always preceding the actual taxiway. So, right now since I'm on Golf, again, black background, yellow letters, but the taxiway sign for Charlie is yellow background with black letters because it's a direction to Charlie. Charlie's out here in front. Something also to keep in mind while you're taxiing is the windsock. Basically, we've got a direct right crosswind right now. So what I'm going to do is just keep the aileron into the wind. Coming up on Charlie here, so right side is clear. Left side is clear. We're going to make this left turn. Alright, there we go. Get the sun out of our face, right? Now I know that I have the tailwind. I have tailwind because the winds are behind me now that I made this left turn on Charlie, okay? Almost a direct crossing. It's a little bit of a quartering tailwind. So what I'm going to do is you dive away from it. I know that I have the winds from behind me and to the right, so I'm going to turn the yoke to the left here. Dive away from it. When you're taxiing, you should be at the pace of a brisk walk, fast walking pace. That's a good taxi speed if you have the equipment. Usually most GPSs will tell you your actual speed and knots while you're taxiing. Good taxi speed is about 10 to 15. Charlie, so I'm going to take out my taxi diagram again and see what my next turn is. So I'm on Charlie. It's going to be a left turn on Echo to take us out to spot 16. Something else to brief. Right now I'm taxiing by myself, but when you're taxiing with other people, you want to brief the taxiway and also brief the hotspots. Hotspots are areas on the airfield. It can be confusing, right? Like an intersection or two confusing intersections, taxiways themselves. So you brief the hotspot. So we're actually coming up on hotspot number 1 here, the only one on Tamiami's airfield. So we're going to stay very alert here. We got a guy right here just exited the runway.
On our ground, Cessna 644,
and we'll make this left turn right here onto Charlie.
64429, it's Tamiami ground, taxi to ramp.
Definitely want to stay alert in these you want to stay alert throughout the reason that's important to brief the taxi is that when you're flying at your local airport where you're familiar with, it's okay, you know exactly where you're going. However, once you're taxiing in bigger airports, or once you get to airline flying, you're constantly flying into newer airports, or airports that you're not super familiar with. And those, for instance, Miami International is pretty complex. Los Angeles, Dallas, those sort of bigger airports, it's not always the same, 9er left via Alpha, 27 right via Alpha. So you want to pay very, very close attention to that. Okay, still keeping our eyes open here. Going to stay on center line. There we go. Looking at the end of the taxiway. Same thing for when you're on the runway. When you're going down the center line on the runway, always look towards the end of the runway, never right here in front of you. When you look towards the end of a taxiway or runway, you can see the small changes as you're drifting while taxiing, and that allows you to make small corrections. Alright guys, here is our left turn, spot 16. So now we're going to leave the active taxiway, right, which is controlled by ground, and we're going to taxi into an uncontrolled area with the ramp. So we definitely want to stay very, very alert, and we want to go back to that slow taxi speed, right? As you can see right here in front of us, we've got some guys getting ready to take a King Air up. So there's people on the ramp, there's cars on the ramp, there's go-karts, there's all kind of stuff, other aircraft. So we want to taxi nice and slow. Definitely while taxiing, what's different from a car is you want to check your wingtip clearance. Always make sure that your wingtips are cleared. Give yourself more space than what you think you may need. Rather be safe than sorry. Alright guys, we're coming up on our ramp here. So we'll bring the airplane in nice and easy. As you can see, on this ramp, it's a little bit more busy, right? We got a couple of guys out here. Definitely getting cramped here, so I'm really looking out on both sides, making sure my wingtip clearance is clear, left and right. One of our other instructors there. Alrighty. Here we go. Here is our parking space. So we'll turn it and we'll shut it down here. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining in on this video of how to taxi. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a message here in the inbox. We'll talk to you soon.